Okay, as we continue with our algebra unit, we are looking at variables today. So a variable is a letter or a symbol that represents a number, okay? So if you have three different questions, let's say you had 2 plus 6, 3 plus 6, 4 plus 6, we can replace the changing number with a different letter. So for instance, I will use N for number. Okay, so 6 remains the same. So whatever our number is, it's always going to be adding 6 to it. Okay, so we can replace the changing quality in this case with N plus 6. If you had another one like 2 times 7, 2 times 9, 2 times 10. Well, in this case, no matter what, it's always going to be multiplied. Whatever the number is, we're doing times, right? So I'm going to put N here. That's our number. Sorry. It's always going to be 2, and then we're going to times it by N, right? Because the N changes. The number is changing, but this number stays the same, right? So we're going to keep it 2. So that's always the same. But we're going to change this one because it's changing. So we could put any number into that N and make this statement work, right? And in this case, we could put any number in N and add 6, and we would get an expression that works. Okay, so for question 1, you're going to complete the 3 questions. So you're going to replace the changing quality. That's the key part, so you might want to underline that in your book. You're going to replace the changing quality with the letter N to represent numbers. So 1 plus 5, 2 plus 5, 3 plus 5. Well, the changing one is that first number, and the other bit stays the same. So that's the first one. So you're going to do B and C. Now, if you look at this definition here, I'm going to add a picture. So this one, I believe, yes. So it says that a variable is a letter or symbol that represents a number. So that's an important bit of information that you need to know. So it's a letter or symbol that represents a number. Okay, so it's going to be, usually in algebra, it's going to be some sort of letter. To make an algebraic expression, so an expression is like a addition, subtraction, multiplying question without the equals, okay? So it's just going to be a number sentence that does not include the equal sign. To make an algebraic expression, we replace some numbers in a numerical expression with variables. So if you looked at this one, 7 plus 1 would be a numerical expression. We would replace the 7 with a W, for instance. For 4 times 9, we would do 4 times t, so we might change the 9. And then there's more complex ones, like this is all numerical. Well, we've replaced in this one the t with a 6 with a t, sorry, and the 5 with an h. Okay, so if we were going to write an expression for question 2, if we move on to question 2, it says write an expression. So remember, an expression is something that does not have the equal sign. Write an expression for the distance a car would travel at the speed and in the time given. So if our speed was 60 kilometers per hour, and our time was 3 hours. Right? Then our distance, our expression, would be 60. Oops, what happened there? Would be 60 times 3 kilometers. Right? Because we've got our kilometers per hour. This is our kilometers, that's per hour. 60 times 3 would get you your distance. Okay, and that's just your expression. You don't have to solve it. So I would like you to do B and C of question 2. Okay, so what's our next rule that we need to know? If we look at our next question, look at this one. So you've seen me write, so if you look up here, you see me write 2 times n, right? In algebra, we do not write 2, we don't use times symbol. The reason is that we use x a lot, so if we're using x times x, it's going to look very complicated, and there's going to be a lot of x's involved. So in algebra, instead of writing 3 times t, for instance, we would just write 3t. So a number and a letter beside each other means times, okay? So if we had 5 times z, that would be the same as 5z. So you can imagine if you had x times x times x, that's just a lot of x's, but we've got 3 of them, so we're going to write 3x. So there's 3 x's. Okay, and technically in front of these is a 1 each time, right? So if you just see a letter, technically it's a 1, right? It would be like 1x plus 1x plus, times 1x would be the same as 3x. 3 times x. Okay? Actually, this would be x. I'm telling you the wrong thing. Never mind. We'll stick with what we know. Okay, so for number 3, renting skis cost $5 an hour. Write an algebraic expression for the cost of renting skis for H hours. So if skis cost $5 per hour, A says for H hours, so that can represent any amount of hours that we want it to represent, right? So we could say 5 times H, because we don't know what number we want to put in there. Or, and this is better, 5H. Okay, so do that for B, C, and D. They've given you a different letter, a different variable letter to represent a number, so you would put that in. Okay. Next. When replacing a variable with a number, use brackets. So if you have a question that says, for instance, it wants you to write if you have 3n and it wants you to replace the n with a 7, you wouldn't just write 37, right? Because that's 337. You would put a bracket to show that it's 3 times 7. So a bracket in algebra means that whatever is in front of it is multiplied, right? So just like this means multiply, this also means multiply. 3 times 7. So if I had 4x and I wanted x to be represent 3, it would be 4 bracket 3, or 4 times 3, okay, which is 12. So you're going to do question 4, B and C, where you're going to write the number 2 in the brackets, and then you're going to evaluate. What does the word evaluate mean? It means solve. So evaluate, you might want to write this into your notebook. Evaluate means solve. Okay? And then for question 5, so this is your last question for today. It says replace the variable with the given number and then evaluate. So for question A, it says 2h, that's your question. H needs to equal 3. So I'm going to plug 3 into the h part. So I know I have to put a bracket, so I'm going to put a bracket replacing that h with 3, which equals 6, right? Because 2 times 6 is 2 times 3 is 6. Also, so if you have n plus 2 and n is equal to 5, then I'm going to do 5 plus 2. Do I need the bracket in this case? No, I don't, because I'm not multiplying. Okay, so you do question 5, A to F, and then you are finished for the day.